The last question, this is regarding the Sixth Noble Eightfold Path, which is right mindfulness. The sixth. So now every day, or most of the time, we heard of insight meditations or mindfulness meditation. In our daily life, I also heard Bhante talk that there is no such thing as insight meditation as taught by the Buddha, and the Buddha only taught Samma Samadhi. So, but also there is this right mindfulness. In fact, I'm also quite confused, Bhante. So, how to practice this right mindfulness in our daily life?
So you are confused between that right mindfulness as a factor, the sixth factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, and general mindfulness.
General mindfulness, and how to practice if there is because we know about this right mindfulness has the sixth factor, and how to practice it.
And how to practice it. In the suttas, the Buddha talked about Sati Sampajanya. Okay? This word Sati is derived from a word that means to remember. Yeah. So when you look into Samasati, the way to practice Samasati, if you call it right mindfulness, is to remember, to be mindful of four objects. Yeah, the four objects of Sati. The important thing is to remember. Okay. Then Sampajanya. Sampajanya means mindfulness or awareness. Okay. If we look into Noble Eightfold Path, we find that Sati is a component of the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah. But Sampajanya is not a component of the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah. So Sati is more important than Sampajanya. Sati is more important than mindfulness. So for a monk, he has to constantly put his attention on the four objects of Sati, the body, feelings, mind, and Dhamma. Because the Buddha says that if he does not put his attention on these four things, the mind will stray into Mara's realm, Mara's domain, which is the six senses. And the Buddha warned that the Mara, the evil one, can catch us if we stray into the six senses. How? By enticing us or seducing us with beautiful forms, beautiful sounds, etc. That's why we have to remember not to go into these six senses, but to put our attention on these four things. Yeah. And then in the description of Sampajanya, if you look carefully, the Buddha said, when a monk is walking, he knows he's walking. When he's sitting, he knows he's sitting. When he's standing, he knows he's standing. When he's lying down, he knows he's lying down. When he's eating, he knows he's eating. When he's drinking, when he's wearing his robe, etc. Whatever actions he knows it. Yeah. If you look at this description carefully, you will find that it is not general mindfulness. It is mindfulness directed to the body. Why mindfulness directed to the body? Because whenever we are mindful of the body, we are in the here and now. If our mind strays and thinks, in Hokkien we say, xiong tang, xiong sai, thinking east, thinking west, then we forgot about our here and now already, we are daydreaming, That is why it is important to be mindful of our body. The moment we are mindful of our body, we come back to the here and now. We don't, what in Chinese called ta wang xiang, So, for lay people, mindfulness practice is to be mindful of whatever you are doing, because whatever you are doing, you are in the here and now, Don't start thinking of this and thinking of that, Just be mindful of whatever you are doing, and you'll be in the here and now. But for a person who is practicing to get out of samsara, then he has to practice the sati to put his attention on these four things. If you are a working person, that is not possible. Yeah, if you are working, you must be mindful of your job. If you are cutting vegetables and you are thinking of something else, you might cut your finger. Yeah, walking on the street, you are thinking of something, you might bump your head into a pole. Yeah, fall into a drain. Yeah. So, we are talking about lay people. Just be mindful of whatever you are doing.
So, Bhante, meaning to say that for a lay person like us, if we were to practice right concentration or right mindfulness, we just have to be mindful of what we are doing. How about, let's say if we, let's say when after office hour, whatever, we become mindful of the four foundations of the mindfulness. How would that contribute to? That means, of course, during working time, we concentrate with our job. We be mindful of our work, but in the teaching of the Buddha, maybe this is not what the Buddha is saying. We should be mindful of the four foundations of mindfulness. So what I mean is that as a lay person, how should we practice correctly for this right mindfulness? I mean, this four foundation. How should we practice? Or should I say, after office hour at home or during weekend, we can practice it, or how?
Are you talking about trying to practice to get out of samsara? Or practicing the Noble Eightfold Path?
Yeah, practicing as part of the Noble Eightfold Path.
Okay, the spiritual path or the Noble Eightfold Path, in practicing it, two things are extremely important. One is the theory, the other is the practice. The theory is listening to the Dhamma, the 5 Nikayas, the 5 collections of early discourses of the Buddha. So, I usually tell people that if you want to meditate, do it when you get up in the morning. So, if you want to meditate 1 hour, then you get up 1 hour earlier so that you can meditate. Because in the early morning, that's the best time of the day to meditate, because you are refreshed after a good night's sleep. And also people are sleeping. Yeah, there's not much sound around. Yeah, But when you come back from work, you're tired. It's not a good time to meditate. And also, if you meditate at night, you might get a good state of meditation. Then the whole night you cannot sleep. So after work, it's best to spend your time listening to the suttas. Then the rest of the day, you try to practice your sila. Your generosity, your compassion, and all that, Yeah.
That's all. Thank you. Bhante, thank you.
Bhante, this jhana has actually been described as the footprint of the Buddha, and the Buddha has on numerous occasions encouraged his disciples to abide in jhana. So from these passages, we actually understand, that jhana is something that should be encouraged and that we should develop. But I actually noticed that nowadays there are actually various interpretations as to what jhana is. There are actually some Bhantes who actually describe jhana, as a state of absorption, where you actually concentrate on a single point to the level of developing a nimitta, and you try to enter jhana through nimitta, which is described as a doorway to jhana. And in this stage, your 6 sense doors are actually closed, which means you're non-percipient. You don't know what actually happens at the 6 sense doors, and one actually has to withdraw from this jhana state, this deep absorption state, in order to embark onto vipassana. But then again, when I actually read what Ajahn Chah says that Jhana essentially is stillness of mind, where the mind is actually calm and composed, and it doesn't move, despite the ups and downs of life. It's like, he's saying that jhana is a state, it's like a deep, clear pool, So, these are very, very contrasting descriptions of what jhana is. So basically, I'd just like to ask Bhante to describe exactly, what jhana entails, because nowadays there are many conflicting views, what jhana essentially is. And I think in the sutta also, I understand that there was actually a sutta where the Buddha was actually in a deep jhanic state, but he could still be aware, of this blockades, these many blockades that actually went past him, during the night, and he was fully aware in the state of jhana. So I just would like Bhante to just give us a better understanding, insight as to what jhana is, based on the scriptures.
Okay, so you want me to clarify the state of jhana. Firstly, the sutta jhana is different from the Visuddhi Magga jhana. Burmese monks tend to teach from the Visuddhi Magga. The pure Vipassana teaching is also derived from the Visuddhi Magga. And the jhana that they teach nowadays, the Burmese monks teach, is also from the Visuddhi Magga jhana. And this Visuddhi Magga jhana is, as you say, it's a state of absorption where they are not aware of anything except the light. The Buddha's jhana is different. The Buddha's jhana is divided into rupa jhana and arupas, or arupa jhana. Rupa jhana, or form jhana, is a state when a monk is absorbed in it. It is also an absorption. It's absorbed on the object of meditation. Yeah, and you have these jhana factors. Okay, the first jhana is not so strong. It's not so concentrated. As you go higher jhana, it becomes more and more concentrated. But these rupa jhanas, when a person is in a state of rupa jhana, the five senses have not closed. So just now you mentioned about the hearing the 500 horses pass by. That is not actually the Buddha. In the sutta, it is somebody who was praising an external ascetic and was saying that this external ascetic, his meditation is so good that he was sitting absorbed in his meditation and 500 horses went by. Also, he was not aware of it. Then the Buddha asked him to compare that state with the Buddha state. The Buddha said that once he was meditating in a kuti in the forest, he was deep in meditation, and thunder, lightning crashed, and thunder roared, and trees were falling so much that cows were killed by the trees, by the falling trees. And the Buddha was not aware of all these things. And after the storm, when the Buddha came out of his state of meditation, then he saw so many people also excited and trying to retrieve the dead cows and all that and fallen trees. Then the Buddha asked what happened. Then they said there was a huge storm with thunder crashing and all these things. And asked him, were you not aware of it? Were you asleep? First they asked him, were you asleep? Then the Buddha said, I was not asleep. Then they realized the Buddha was in deep meditation. So the Buddha was not aware of this. So this is the arupa. When a person attains the arupa state, the five sense doors close. And then the mind expands to like boundless space. And then higher is boundless consciousness and nothingness, etc. So that is the sutta jhana. But unfortunately nowadays there are some monks, they use the some of this description of the jhanas in the suttas to say that jhana is just a state of stillness. And when you enter that state of jhana, you can still contemplate this and contemplate that. But not in my opinion. In my opinion, if you enter the state of jhana, it's a state of absorption. But even though it's a state of absorption, it's a state where the mind is very, very aware. You are never as mindful as when you are in a state of jhana. Extremely clear mind. Whatever happens in the mind, you are aware. That's why in the Anupada Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 111, I think, Sariputta was said to be in the states of jhana, and all the various states that arose in his mind was clearly aware of them. But even though when a person is in that state, he's aware of all these things, but he cannot use the mind to think. Cannot use the mind to think. Just knows only. Otherwise it's not jhana. If you can use the mind to contemplate this and contemplate that, you are not in the state. That's why the second jhana is called the state of the Aryan silence. In the first jhana, when a person attains the first jhana, the mind is still capable of what the Buddha calls wholesome thoughts. For example, if a person attains the first jhana, delight arises, piti is delight, and sukha is bliss. Great bliss arises, with that one-pointedness of mind also. So he suddenly thinks, I must remember the steps I took to attain this state so that I can repeat it. That kind of thinking he can have. That is in the first jhana. But in the second jhana, even that also cannot. A normal mind, you will have thoughts going in your mind, like a monologue. Your mind is chattering inside. But in the second jhana, the mind is so strong and so aware, you cannot use the mind to think at all. You are just aware only. So from the second jhana upwards, you cannot have any thinking. That's why no more vitaka vichara. Okay?
Bhante, does it mean that one actually has to withdraw from the jhana?
Oh yes, definitely. You have to come out.
Come out from a jhana state before one starts to contemplate.
Yes. But when a person comes out of the state of jhana, the mind is still as concentrated as when he was in that jhana state. That's why he can use it. He has such a clear mind that when he uses it, he can understand. The Buddha says when he directs his mind to whatever he wants to know, he can know. Especially in the fourth jhana. The translation of this word jhana many years ago was like trance. Trance is the opposite of trance. Trance is a state where you bodoh, you are controlled by some other being, and you are blur. But the state of jhana is the opposite. In the fourth jhana, the sutta says, when a person attains the fourth jhana, it's a state of utter purity of sati and upekkha. You are perfectly. If you translate sati as mindfulness, you are perfectly mindful at the fourth jhana, and the equanimity is also perfect. When a person comes out of the fourth jhana, the mind is so clear that when he wants to recollect his past lives, he can. The Buddha said, that's why Arahants, they can recollect their past lives. Not only 100, 1,000, even more. So the Buddha said when a person comes out of the fourth jhana, when he walks, he's like walking in heaven. When he's standing, he's like standing in heaven. When he lies down, he's like lying down in heaven. That state persists for some time. Let me read this question in black and white now. Many Buddhist families face the problems of their children becoming Christians by marriage. Before the marriage, the other party normally says, you can continue to follow whatever religion you are following, and we should not try to convert each other. However, after marriage, the one who is a Christian will slowly try to convince the other party to switch in a very diplomatic way. When the non-Christian is facing difficulties in his life, he will be convinced to go to church and to pray to Jesus for help. After a few sessions, he realizes that his problems have been answered by his prayer to Jesus. As a result, he is convinced to change his religions. Once this happens, he will try to convince his parents to follow him. He does it step by step. The first step is giving Christian literature to his parents to read. Following this, he tells his parents to return all Buddhist books and CDs to the temple. The next step is to tell the parents to go to church on Sunday. When the parents do not want to go, he told his parents that his pastor said that he is a failure in life because he is unable to convert them to Christianity. This statement of being a failure in life hurts the mother very much, as the son never realized that the parents cared for him from the time he was born till he is now a fairly well-paid executive in an international company. We in the BMS bookshop have received many good books, such as those from the Wheels publication and Bodhi Leaves publication from these people when they told us the reasons for the return of these books. For the purpose of discussion, what can these parents do to overcome such situation? This morning I had to give a short talk at the Theravada Council meeting. Then I said that the problem, one of the big problems Buddhism faces is that many Buddhists do not understand the real Dhamma of the Buddha. I said Buddhism in Chinese is called Fo Jiao, what the Buddha taught. And a lot of people don't study or listen to the suttas in the five Nikayas. So what they understand of Buddhism is not really Buddhism, or it's Chapalang Buddhism, mixed. And when they teach to others, they are also teaching this Chapalang Buddhism, which the Buddha calls fake gold in Sangyutta Nikaya. So don't go around selling fake gold. You must sell real gold, which is the suttas of the Buddha. So many of our Buddhists, they are not really versed in the suttas. So their understanding of Buddhism is so shallow that it can be easily converted. So it is the responsibility of good Buddhists to know the true Dhamma. If you know the true Dhamma of the Buddha, you will realize how beautiful it is. As I mentioned this morning, it's a super religion compared to other religions in terms of theory and practice. As far as theory is concerned, now science is confirming what the Buddha said, which is not found in other religions. The Buddha said time has no beginning and no end. Other religions always say time has a beginning. And the Buddha also said space is boundless. Now only they realize space is boundless. Even the Buddha described the way the world is going to end. Talking about expanding world systems and contracting world systems, etc. So it is a responsibility of all good Buddhists to listen to the five Nikayas. I have given talks on the five Nikayas. If you don't have the CD, you contact us. We'll be happy to give you the five Nikaya CDs. Then you can teach the younger generation. Nowadays the problem with a lot of Malaysian Chinese is that they don't have a good grounding in religion. So slowly they lose their numbers to other religions. Other religions sometimes are a bit fanatical about converting people. We are not fanatical about converting people. We have to convert our own people first. From reading the Nikayas, we know that we have lived different lives in the past, going back to millions of past lives. Each time a different form, such as humans, devas, ghosts, animals, and hell beings. When we ask the question, who am I or what am I, we cannot really answer these questions due to the different forms we have in the past. What is the real answer for this? The real answer is that we are dreaming. When you dream, you can dream of yourself as a human being, as a deva, as a ghost, everything. Yeah? The Buddha said that the only reality is Nibbana. The world is not real. It's only virtual reality. If you go and study quantum physics, it's exactly what quantum physics is saying also. In our bookshop, we are distributing 2 books and titled, Anyone Can Go to Heaven, Just Be Good, and a Life Full of Blessings. Bhante has advised us that the book Anyone Can Go to Heaven, Just Be Good is not suitable for Buddhists. Our devotees want to know what are the reasons for saying that it is not suitable for Buddhists, but it is for the Christians. What is your opinion on the other book, A Life Full of Blessings? Well, firstly, I did not say that it is not suitable for Buddhists. It depends on what level of Buddhists we are talking about. There are many Buddhists who don't understand Buddhism. So this kind of booklet is a good because then it strengthens your faith in Buddhism that that a Singapore lawyer can write this booklet. Of course, it is also good for non-Buddhists, but it is good for ignorant Buddhists as a first step. Then after that, slowly they can have more interest to learn about the Dhamma, about the suttas and all that. The other book is just as good, Life of Blessings. If there is no self in the Buddhist way of seeing things, who or what is getting reborn? Who or what gets the results of good and bad deeds? This, if you look into the suttas, the Buddha said, I didn't say somebody gets the good and the result of good and bad deeds. The Buddha said, if I said that somebody gets the good result of good and bad deeds, then this and this in the Majjhima Nikaya, I think. So the dreamer is getting the result of the good and bad dreams. Just like when we are dreaming at night, everything is so real, isn't it? It's as real as now, yeah. Just that sometimes we have pleasant dreams, sometimes we have nightmares, frightening nightmares. But when you wake up in the morning, then you realize, why was I so frightened? Why was I so excited? It's only a dream. But if the dream persists, as long as the dream persists, you don't know it's a dream, yeah. It's only when you wake up only you know it's a dream. So right now we are in that state, we are dreaming. The Buddha is the awakened one. We are the dreamers. Any other question?
Venerable Bhante, I have 2 questions, sir. The first question is, for those who abide by the precepts in theory and practical, will they be stream enterers? And my second question is...
Would people who abide by the precepts be stream enterers? Well, they need to abide by the precepts to become stream enterers. But just abiding by the precepts does not mean that it will automatically become stream enterers. Because there are some good Christians, there are some good Muslims, there are some good Hindus who abide by the precepts. But because they don't know the Dhamma, they don't become stream enterers. You enter the stream when you understand the Dhamma. When you understand the 4 Noble Truths, then the Buddha say that you have attained the vision of the Dhamma. Then you become a different person. You start to let go. You change your direction in life.